Hi, my name is Judy Van Koyman, and you're watching Life Issues. This month's show is about caregivers, and my guests are Norma Mora and Donna McHugh from Caregiver Homes, and Dawn Sullivan, advocate for the elderly. Welcome, all of you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. Norma, I'm going to start with you. What was the reason you wanted to work in this field?
Well, I have been working in the community for about more than 20 years in different levels. Mental health, helping parents about how to navigate the system. And because I love what I do, I learned about Caregiver Homes, and I started as an ambassador for Caregiver Homes. And I I believe in the company, and that's how I got into it.
All right, great. Yeah, it's kind of, it gives yourself a warm feeling when you're working with the elderly or disability and stuff. So it's very nice. Good. And how long have you worked at Caregiver Homes?
Almost 2 years. I've been working with Caregiver Homes for about 2 years.
Good, good. And what is Caregiver Homes?
So Caregiver Homes is a program through Mass Health that provides support to caregivers who are taking care of a loved one at home. Yep.
Okay. And are they just local, or are they?
We are in the entire Massachusetts and 6 more states.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Good. They're expanding and growing.
Expanding and growing, yeah.
Okay.
It is in Rhode Island, Connecticut, Indiana, Louisiana, and Ohio, and obviously Massachusetts.
Oh, good. Good. Dawn, I'm going to switch to you. What is your occupation?
Thank you, Judy. I'm an occupational therapist.
Okay. And what does that entail?
So occupational therapy is, sometimes I say all things to all people, really. Occupational therapist's job is to help the person live as independently and as safely as they can in their own environment, whether it's a person who's 60 years old who just had a hip replacement, or an elderly person suffering from cancer or COPD or something else. How can they really live their best fulfilled life in the environment that they're in?
Great. And what are some simple recommendations for some easy occupational things that someone can do at home with a disability?
Sure. So if someone is struggling at home with a physical disability, or is having challenges with their stamina or energy level, some really easy things you can do around the house are to get rid of any tripping hazards, area rugs, cords along the floor, any clutter that might be around. Installing grab bars in the bathroom is a really good idea. People are always hesitant to do that, but really it's such a good idea, and it really save a lot of difficulties. If someone has a fall in the bathroom, that can be devastating. Putting an extra railing along the stairway. Sometimes you might already have one, but putting that second one there is a real benefit to people that are struggling at home or that have a disability at home. Also think about just really simple things around the kitchen, lowering things to your counter or your first shelf so that people don't have to climb up on step stools to reach them, or anything down below to put those at counter height. Things you use every day, like a plate, a cup, and a set of silverware. You want to make things as simple and easy for people to be in their home environment, and really kind of cut out multiple steps that it takes to do things.
Yeah. Now, the equipment that you just mentioned, will the person needing that, will they have to pay for all this, or do you know if there's any way that?
Yeah, I think in most cases, Medicare doesn't typically pay for home equipment. There are programs with Mass Health that you all probably could speak to that do pay for things. I know if you're a veteran, the VA will pay for equipment for your home. So that's a resource that people don't always think about to access their veterans benefits. And then, it's one thing to have a grab bar, but then to install it, you don't really want your next door neighbor who doesn't know what they're doing to just throw it up on your wall. It needs to be bolted into studs and done the right way.
Right.
So that might be something you'd have to call a carpenter or a plumber to put in. And then there are people around that will understand the need for it and probably cut a break to you.
Okay, great, thank you. And Norma, what is Caregiver Homes' commitment?
So caregiver homes commitment is to care about the caregivers, so they don't want to. We don't want them to be alone on that journey. There's a million and millions of people who are caring about their loved ones at home, and the purpose is to provide them support, education, and financial assistance in some ways. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And Donna, how do you determine eligibility for your clients?
So some of the basic eligibility requirements include the person needs to be living with a living caregiver. I think this is something that many of us remember back from years ago. Maybe our grandmother or grandfather or aunt or uncle lived with us. So they need to live with their caregiver who's with them. They need to be eligible for Mass Health Standard. And they also need queuing or supervision with at least one activity of daily living. So that would be things like dressing, bathing, eating, transporting, toileting, things like that. We also do go through, and similar to some of the things you were talking about, we do credential the home that they're living in to make sure that it is a safe environment, that it really is meeting, some basic standards that we have for people to stay in their home.
Great.
This kind of program.
Yeah, it's so important that everything's set in place and stuff because, the elderly are so fragile and stuff, and if they've just coming home from recuperating from something, they don't want anything bad to happen again and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's so important.
And you brought that up. I'm sorry to jump in here. One thing I didn't mention, the other requirement is that people need to be age 16 or above.
Okay.
So we're able to service not only the people in the elderly population, but also younger people with disabilities. So we're able to serve quite a spectrum of people.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And Donna, can you please tell us what respite care is?
Yeah, so we think, as Norma said, we're very committed to caregivers, and we think caregiving is a very, very hard job. We know that it can take an emotional as well as a physical toll on people. So respite care is a term that's used in the healthcare industry and the industry as a whole as a way basically for people to take a break, just a chance to take a break from their daily caregiving role. And the way that we work with people is to be able to identify perhaps an alternate caregiver who can come into the home, give them a break so they can go run errands, go on vacation, do whatever they need to do. We'll also work with them to identify other ways for the person they're caring for to get a break. So there are things like adult day health programs or day habs that people can go to during the day, which would allow the caregiver a break, or maybe they also have some other type of part-time job or activity that they like to participate in. So all in a way to be able to help them be able to continue on with that caregiving job. Taking a break is real important.
Oh, yes. Don't want any people to get burnt out.
Yeah.
Because it can be very overwhelming, especially if they're living and working basically under the same roof.
Really
That's
hard.
Very
Yeah.
hard.
And we've actually seen that people who take time for respite care for themselves will actually be able to help their family member stay in the community 3 times longer than people who don't take that break and just stay focused only on the caregiving. So it's important to take those breaks.
Exactly. And Dawn, what would you recommend to make the person more comfortable to stay in their home?
So I think it's really important that the person living with a disability at home still feels like they have valuable that they have value in their community, within their family, within their community. So if that person is still able to contribute in some way, whether it's reading to people, or whether it's contributing online somehow, there's a lot of great technology these days that people can still remain in contact even though they might be homebound. So using the internet or email to have a work at home job or something like that is very doable these days. So I think it's important that the person still feels like they're contributing in some way. Maybe they've lost their job and so financially they're no longer contributing, but they still want to be able to help out.
Oh, great. And how can the caregiver take care of themselves?
Well, I would just echo what Donna says. It's really important for the caregiver to have breaks, to feel fulfilled in the caregiving they're doing, but also to take breaks for themselves. And that could be as simple as going to yoga class or taking a walk around the block. each day, or walking the dog, or it could be, you know, going on a longer weekend trip with friends, or going out to dinner, getting a massage. Being a caregiver is also physical work. So it's not just that you may have a few more things to do at home, but it physically, you know, could be lifting a person or doing a lot more of the housework than you're used to. So it is important that you take care of your body. I think it's really important that you have good nutrition, good physical activity. You know, I don't want to say the word exercise, that scares a lot of people. It's not that you have to go to the gym all the time, but really to be stretching and to having a good night's sleep is really important. And just taking care of yourself, because when you're taking care of yourself, then you're able to take care of others so much more easily. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, chances are that somehow that's coming out in your caregiving.
Right, exactly. And what are some resources that you would recommend for the caregiver to use for the elderly or person with a disability?
I would definitely encourage people to check in with their local VNA, with, you know, groups of, like yours, that are helping people depending on what your insurance is. I mean, so many people in my work that I've seen in the home care I've done they seem to be resistant to letting people into their home. But open up your home to Meals on Wheels, or to volunteers from your church, or volunteers from the senior center that might want to come in and play a game of cards, or help you with some meal preparation, or some light housework. You know, allow people to come and help you with that, because there are people wanting to volunteer and wanting to do those kinds of things. A couple other resources that people might not be aware of, there's a program called SHARE at UMass Dartmouth that comes into people's home and does assistive technology. So it might be that you're wheelchair bound, but you need a voice activated device to turn the lights on and off. So really simple technology that you can honestly buy at Radio Shack these days, to turn on the TV, to turn on and off the lights, or things like that, to have computers in your home so you can contact with the world. The Mass Commission for the Blind is another. If you're someone who has low vision as a disability, they'll come into your home and do lots of adaptions so that your low vision doesn't impact your safety at your home. Books on tape, you know, things like that. People don't necessarily think when you're losing your vision and you love to read or you love to watch movies, you know, that could impact that leisure activity. So books on tape is something that the Mass Commission for the Blind can get you for free with the machine, and you just mail them back when you're done, and they'll mail you the next one on your list. So it's really nice. Things like the Senior Center, the Council on Aging. There's other community programs that offer day treatment, or sort of drop-in times for people that need that. And then, of course, there's things like the ride, you know, where people that maybe you're having trouble getting the person you're caring for to a doctor's appointment in your car, and so things like the ride would give you access maybe to a wheelchair van or something that's safer and more comfortable both for the person you're caring for and yourself to get to doctor's appointments. Let me see if there's anything else I wrote down. And I just want to encourage people to be open to the idea of having personal care attendants. I know a lot of people, as I said before, are reluctant maybe to have people in their home, especially to do personal care. But honestly, if you interview people and you do some reference checking, you can really find the right person to come in, whether it's a few times a week or every day, to do that personal care that would take a lot of stress off of the primary caregiver and the family, and also to the person that's being taken care of. That might be a nice change of, you know, seeing a new face or interacting with a new person. And so I just really want to encourage people to be open to that.
Yeah, that's excellent advice. Yes, thank you. And Donna, how much would it cost a person for in-home care?
So in looking online, I think I was sharing with you earlier, I did a quick Google search which talked about the different costs per state. And for non-skilled care, it would be between $3,000 and $6,500 a month. So it's a very significant investment for somebody to have. I mean, not a lot of people can afford that out there today. And that's one of the things when we think about the different services that are available in the community. I think about a mass health program like what we represent. There's a lot of other ways for people to get the service and the care they need to be able to stay safe at home.
Exactly. And how is it that the person can stay in their own home longer?
In a program like ours, we are doing some of the things Dawn talked about, which is first thing, doing a falls quick screen to make sure that we're going to minimize the chance of a fall, because that is one of the number one reasons people end up in the hospital, right? We're also doing a med reconciliation to make sure that everyone's comfortable with what are the meds that you're taking, how frequently are they taking, because med adherence is also really, really important. In our program, we're also communicating with people daily through a technology, an app that we're using to be able to get insight from the caregiver. Have they noticed any changes in the behavior of the person? Are there any concerns about their eating habits or changes in their weight? You know, monitoring a 1 pound weight gain is very significant for COPD patients. So we're able to communicate and really help prevent and monitor some of those things. And as a result, we can really predict some of those things that could keep somebody out of the hospital and help put some things in place to help them with that.
And there's more and more elderly out there that want to stay in their own homes.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't blame them. I mean, I would want to.
Right.
I don't want to be in some, place where a bunch of people that I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. It's, like a nursing home or something. So they're around their own surroundings and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's very important. And Donna, what is the percentage of less falls if the person is in their own home?
So in the Caregiver Homes program, what we've found is that we have, because of the quick screen, because we're in the home monthly helping that caregiver, we have less than 1 fall per 1,000 consumer days, whereas if somebody is in a different type of facility, it can range between 3 to 5 per 1,000 consumer days. So it's a real significant difference. So we're less than 1 fall per 1,000, and it's because of that caregiver who is in the home daily with that person, able to really help them, stay on top of what they need to do to stay safe.
Great. All right. And Norma, can you please give us your contact info if anyone has any questions?
Sure. My cell phone is 857-310-1513.
Okay, great. And Dawn, your contact info if anyone would like to.
Sure. My email address is des02152@comcast.net.
Great. I'm sorry, but that's all the time that we have. Thank you all for that you do for the elderly and the people with disabilities. I'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions. Please send them to lifeissuestv@gmail.com. And remember, live each day to the fullest and celebrate life.
It's okay to be scared. You don't have to be so strong.
Strength is not optional. This is my mother, my purpose. Real muscle is lifting her spirits between bedpans and bad news from doctors that doubt her strength. Strength is buried in bills, managing meds, and swallowing those moments of, Mom, it's me, your daughter. Remember? My strength is super, but I'm still human, right?
Look who's here. There she is. Thanks for your patience.
How you feel?
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 1-877-333-5885.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs, but only gets paid for one. He's tough enough to feed the man that gave him a lifetime of nourishment. He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching. That's right. No employee of the month bonus check here. This guy, no, this warrior, will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. Good luck finding a gym to train for that. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.